Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today as we talk about increasing engagement through fundraising events. I'm so excited to chat with you about this today as it's a really important topic, especially as we dive into event season, which is about the summer and fall, as I'm sure a lot of you already know. And with that, let's jump in. My name is Bridget Cafaro, and I'm the Customer Success Manager here at GiveGab. We are a nonprofit giving platform with a whole ton of features designed specifically for you, nonprofit fundraisers. And I come from a background of nonprofit fundraising as well, so I'm really excited to talk about how this experience, or how my experiences can come into play with your event planning. I'm also joined by one of our Customer Success champions, Jacqueline.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jacqueline. I'm a GiveGab Customer Success Champion here. I respond to customers through the chat bubble, the live chat, and our email.
Yeah, so if you haven't chatted with us yet, make sure you do if you are already on GiveGab using our platform. And if you are already using your platform or not, you probably know what a fundraising event is and why you should host it. But we're going to go over some of the basics. So Jackie, you want to talk about why an organization might want to host a fundraising event?
There are so many reasons to host an event. Events give you the chance to spread awareness for your cause. Of course, events are also a great opportunity to raise funds for your organization, and you'll be able to engage directly with your community through the event, having so many people gathering together in one place, as well as celebrate your supporters and the work being done. Typically, a fundraising event is held in a single day, and attendees may need to register or purchase tickets. Some examples of common types of events are walkathons and 5K races, benefit concerts and shows, galas, scavenger hunts, golf tournaments. The list really goes on. You can really get creative with it and come up with some really interesting, unique, and fun ideas for your events.
There's really no shortage of ideas, I think, in terms of, having an event where you're gathering your supporters around. Like Jackie said, usually you're maybe collecting a registration, and often there is a fundraising component to these events. And as you can see, all of these events are a little different. Some of them, are gatherings to celebrate your supporters. Some are specific activities that people are participating in, but all should be tied into motivating those supporters to join in, be a part of the work that you do, and have a little bit of fun. And you can even have virtual events in addition to some of these options. Like Jackie said, there's no shortage of event types that you can really run within your organization. And if this list isn't, getting your mind flowing, do a quick Google search. There are so many different types of events that you can utilize at different points throughout the year to do just what we're going to focus on today, which is really expanding your reach. Because events are so much more than just the dollars that you're raising, though that is incredibly important. So a big part of what we'll be talking about today is how you can leverage these events in ways other than dollars raised. An event really does help you expand your reach to new potential donors, volunteers, supporters, community members, and to get them to learn about what you do and why you do it. So just by hosting an event, whether it's a big event or a small event, you are creating an opportunity. And we're going to use the word opportunity a lot over these next couple of slides, because that really is what this event can really take you to the next level in terms of goals outside of raising funds. So by having an event, you're letting those outside of your existing circle know that something is happening and that there is a chance for them to learn more about what you do and how you do it. What your approach is to that specific cause. An event is also a fantastic opportunity to rally your ambassadors, especially if you're having a physical in-person gathering or even a virtual gathering, to get people really excited about this opportunity and to leverage those folks who are already really passionate about the work you do, like a peer-to-peer fundraiser, which are those supporters who create almost a mini spin-off campaign to your event that they fundraise through and crowdfund to raise awareness for your organization, but also help you collect donations for that event. This is really common with a lot of walkathons, 5Ks, bowling events, something where you might need to sponsor someone in order for them to participate. This can be a really, really popular tool to let their network know that they are participating and supporting your organization to help you expand that reach to that group of people. Additionally, just by having an event, you are providing an opportunity to gather socially. Even if it is a virtual event, if you are having a physical event, it's a great chance to have people come in. And a lot of people, when they attend an event, are actually thinking that, maybe I don't want to go alone. I want to invite someone to join me. whether or not that's someone in their immediate family who might already know about the work that you do or not, or somebody brand new, a friend who's never been to this event before or has no idea what your organization does. By having that social opportunity, you're inviting new people in a really friendly way to let them know this is a place where you can learn about what we do, have some fun, and celebrate all of these awesome people coming together and get to know that supporter base. And then last but not least, by having an event, you're creating an opportunity to create content. So if you have that physical event where people are gathering, eating, drinking, walking, dancing, bowling, you name it, you can take photos and videos and create really engaging content that lets people know what that event is like and who are the people supporting the work that you do. And by having those videos, photos, and you don't even need a professional photographer at your event to create this content, because I guarantee you, someone on your team or someone else attending the event probably has a camera phone. And these days, that's just as good as a professional camera. Just keep snapping away, keep taking videos, quick snapshots throughout the event. Even if you don't have a ton of time or someone focusing on that, you definitely don't want to leave an event without taking some photos, creating some content so that you can share it out on your email listserv, on social media, pretty much wherever people can find out about what your organization does and how to get involved. You want to see those people mingling, enjoying the work that you do, celebrating your success, because it almost creates a little bit of FOMO, or fear of missing out, where people say, oh my God, I see all my friends who attended this walkathon last week and I can't believe, I didn't even know it happened. This seems like such a cool event in my community. I want to learn how to get involved next year. So by not creating your content or not posting that content out, you're really only missing out. Whereas if you were not to create any content, you might not gain anything from it, but it's worth a shot. You got to get that out there so that people know what this stuff is all about and how they can get involved in the future. And something we're really going to talk about today is how online fundraising tools make this so much easier than it's ever been before. There are a lot of opportunities when you're leveraging an online fundraising event registration platform in addition to your physical in-person event. And we're going to talk a lot about how these tie into some of our main themes throughout the presentation, but just some things to think about that an online fundraising tool might help you leverage a little better. Customizing the information you collect from registrants is a big one. When you have an online form, as opposed to people, emailing you, RSVPing, or sending back a mailer that you sent out, when someone registers for an event online, you immediately have that information that you collect from them at your fingertips through your platform. So if you want to collect custom information, let's say this is an event that you run every year, and you want to be able to know which attendees who are registering have participated in the past and which attendees are brand new, because that's really going to help you during the event with some of the other things we're going to talk about later on. It also allows you to really get to know who is attending the event and prioritize how you're going to steward and cultivate those relationships down the line. And because this is customizable, you can really ask for anything you want. You can add t-shirts, raffle tickets, send really customized emails based on the information they provide. It's a great tool to capture that and have that data live somewhere where it's really accessible to you and your team immediately after they register. Next, online fundraising usually has a team or peer-to-peer fundraising component tied to the event. And this is the most fantastic way to rally support around this event and get those outside of your existing network to know about the work that you do and support their friend or family member that might be participating. Peer-to-peer fundraising, like I said, is that crowdfunding component where you have those passionate supporters really rallying behind your cause and fundraising on your behalf by sharing out their personal story with their friends, their family members, via email, social media, you name it. And those peer-to-peer fundraisers are a fantastic way to expand your reach because on average, for every peer-to-peer fundraiser you recruit, it's about an average of 4 new donors, which is really high when you think about it. Because if you can find 5 passionate people to rally around your cause ahead of your event, that's going to be an average of 20 new donors. So if donors are a goal for you at this event or new support, peer-to-peer and team fundraising are a great way to rally around the event and get people excited. And then last but not least, when you have these tools at your fingertips, it makes it a whole lot easier to know what to expect and look for on the big day. You can glance at your dashboard, see how many t-shirts you need, look at how many t-shirts you ordered and know, all right, I'm good. Or you can say, all right, we've got 20 teams registered and we need to be able to have the amount of manpower to register those teams, get them everything they need. Lots of things that will help you better prepare and better assess your resources so that when the event actually comes, you feel cool, you feel confident, you feel ready to actually enjoy all of the hard work that you've probably put into planning and getting everything ready. Because an event is a lot of work, and I think that's something I hear from organizations pretty often, is that, I really want to have an event, but I just don't seem like the return on investment is going to be that great. It requires a lot of time, energy, and money to put into it. My organization just doesn't have that. And that's why today we're going to talk about how fundraising events aren't all about the funds. There's so much more that you can get out of a fundraising event that's going to increase your return on investment. And these are things that are not tied to the dollars that you're raising, but other ways in that you can help grow your organization and your reach. And then by that, increasing your donor base, building up your supporters so that you can continue to grow and build those sustainable relationships that will move your mission forward. So those 5 non-monetary event goals that we're going to be, talking about today in a lot more detail than just this slide is showing off. First is researching those prospective donors, using that information we collect to learn who's attending, what do we want to know about them, what don't we know about them, who do we want to focus on when they're at the event. All that good stuff so that you can really prepare. And then at the event, using that information to cultivate those new relationships. Who did check that box saying it was their first time attending the event? How are you going to make them feel special that it's their first time attending your event and get to know them? Because you never know who might be your next major donor. And then in addition to just your new relationships, reaching out to those who have already formed a relationship with you. Maybe they checked that box that said, I'm attending this event for the 5th year in a row. How are you going to acknowledge that support and continue to make that donor feel like they are a part of your organization's family, that you really value their participation and support of your organization so that, again, that relationship continues to grow and thrive over time. And then as you recognize who those relationships are, making sure to recognize that support, whether it is a donor or attendee who participates every year that you want to make sure you say hi to, or your t-shirt sponsors, local businesses that help supply items for the event, things like that. An event is a great opportunity for you to highlight who those people are, how they made this event possible, and how they make your mission possible. And like I said, last but not least, creating that engaging content, using this event as an opportunity to take photos, videos, social media posts that feature those supporters who showed up for your organization and how beneficial that can be for the work you do. I'm gonna let Jackie take it away and talk about all about the benefits of research.
When we think about that first goal of researching our prospects, it's helpful to use your list of registrants and the information collected from that registration process to your benefit. So having an understanding of your registrants will allow you to be able to connect with those people much better and personalize your communications with them later. Before setting up your registration form questions, you'll want to think about what you truly want to know about your registrants. And key information to look at might be how much did they spend on tickets? Did they make an extra donation? Have they attended this event before? Do they already know someone who has a relationship with you currently? And that's a great way to, expand in understanding those additional networks as well.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's also these are really great questions to ask if you're going to focus on segmenting these donors out, looking at, okay, who spent more than $500 in all of their, their tickets? Because looking at that information, you're able to say, if they're able to spend $500 attending this event, I want to have a conversation with them because they're probably able to make a $500 gift or larger to my organization. So a lot of these questions that you create in your registration form are going to help you learn more about those specific subsets of supporters within your organization so that you can do the following.
Absolutely. Are they part of a large fundraising team? Those are always an important thing to recognize as well.
Yeah.
If you have peer-to-peer fundraising or fundraising teams, which teams are raising which amounts.
Yeah, especially if it's a lot of times fundraising teams are businesses. Like I know here at GiveGab, we have a fundraising team for our local cancer center walk, and we all walk for that. So the organization can know, oh, wow, that whole company is fundraising on our behalf. Maybe that company is a relationship that I want to work with and build with so that, I can see, all right, they have 20 employees signed up, all fundraising for my organization. This is a business I want to engage in more, find other ways for us to connect. So there's lots you can learn here to take advantage of those opportunities.
Researching your prospects prior to the event will also help you to then prioritize your stewardship plan for each of those potential relationships. So what aspects of your stewardship program will be most effective for each group of supporters? Exactly what we were getting at with those bullet points under the key information that you might want to look at. If someone has donated a large amount, they might be then someone you can identify as a larger donor, and then prioritize your stewardship for that group of people.
Yeah, especially I think because, you know, as nonprofit leaders, we only have so much time and resources. So maybe we can really only focus on a very small set of these supporters that, you know, maybe it's just us, maybe one person or two people, a couple board members attending this event that are really there to stand behind you and help you execute a lot of this stewardship. So by looking at this information ahead of time, you can really say, okay, you know, there are really only going to be 3 of us who are able to have these conversations. If we're only able to talk to 3 other people, who are those 3 people going to be? And collecting this information ahead of time makes that a whole lot easier, so that you're not stressing out at the event trying to find John, you know, make sure you're acknowledging him or that someone has found him. You can really relax and know, all right, I got this. I know what I'm going to do. And I know these people are really going to feel acknowledged when I have these conversations with them.
Exactly. That last bullet point there, how will you acknowledge these prospects at your event, is perhaps one of the most effective ways to use this research, this goal of research, and having that plan ahead of time of how you're going to actually acknowledge each of those groups who you've identified through your research.
Yeah, absolutely.
This next slide is an example of an event on GiveGab, and you can see all of the responses to questions on the registration form here on the Registrants tab. For the question, when did you become active in our organization? You can see that most people who answered this question, 10 people, became active just in the last year. You would then want to make sure you have a plan to specifically acknowledge these new supporters, since they're a large percentage of the people who are attending, and as well as the other categories that are represented there at the actual event. For example, making it a priority to introduce yourself to those people you don't know, or offer a special deal or gift to those who have attended before.
Yeah, I think this is almost a lot easier than a lot of people think it is. If your event has any type of check-in station where you have to, you know, cross people's names off or give them a banner, a ticket, something where you're kind of going through this list and making sure that they are there, you can have this information with those volunteers who are checking people in, so that every time a first-time attendee is checking into your event, you can go, oh my God, Courtney, welcome. We're so excited you're here. If you have any questions, let me know. We're so happy that, you know, you're attending this event for the first time. And just that little touch of, you know, saying, we're so happy you're here. Let us know if you need anything. We're, you know, welcome to our organization, is a really huge way to start building that relationship, because it might not seem like a lot, but to have this information accessible so that you can just say hi is going to feel like a lot to that donor or attendee or registrant or however they're participating. Because they know that you took the time to learn that information about them, and that you care about them as a person, the same way I would greet Jackie if I saw her at an event we wanted to catch up, or if I didn't recognize her, but she was with a friend of mine and I wanted to know more about why she was there. There's so much that you can leverage here to make all of that a whole lot easier. So once you have done that research and you can really focus on who you want to cultivate a relationship with that event, you're gonna do just that. Focus on that cultivation, which is the relationship building, really starting from scratch, learning about those new supporters so that you can begin to learn how they want to get involved with your organization and how you can help them get there. And having an in-person event, knowing who these people are and being able to strike up a conversation with them is a great chance for you to start building these stronger relationships with your participants and attendees. And it really is all about just having that conversation. You can truly never go wrong with, hey, how did you hear about the event? We're so glad you're attending the first time, but why this year, not last year? Or, you know, what brought you here today? Because you never know what their answer is going to be, and you will never know unless you ask. So by, you know, asking someone what brought you here today, they might say, oh, I'm actually next door neighbors with your board member, and they were telling me all about this great stuff. That's a great initiation for you to say, oh, I didn't know you knew Bob. You know, maybe we should have coffee sometime and talk about, you know, getting you more involved. Especially if they really express an interest in getting more involved. I think an important thing to keep in mind here is you don't want to just seeking people out like a scavenger hunt for new potential needs that you have. You truly want to get to know the people who are here in the time and the that you have them all together, so that you can, find those people who have that spark, who are clearly passionate about the work that you do in some way, or in some way are interested in learning more, getting more involved, because these are the people that are going to follow through. These are the people that are really going to make it worth your time to cultivate those new relationships with them, since new donor retention can be very challenging. So some strategies to start building these relationships: if your event maybe is like a walk or something that's not tied to like a meal, set aside some time for food and drinks or snacks. It could be something light like a water and chip table if you have a walk or run, or just a cluster of picnic tables so that people are kind of socializing, engaging. That's really key, having a place for people to socialize. Because if you have that time and place, that's where you can come in and make it feel really natural, as opposed to you kind of, like seeking people out at the event, making it really clear that oh, that guy owns a local business. I really want to see if he can sponsor our next event, and making it feel a little kind of stocky in a way, which is something I think a lot of fundraisers struggle with around research and cultivation, is making sure it still feels personal, even though probably know some things about these people that they don't even know about them. So taking the time to socialize with those attendees, make it feel natural. Maybe if it's a more personal event, or like a membership or subscriber event, you could do an icebreaker for new attendees to really get to know them, or something fun like that. Like Jackie said, maybe a special deal or award for first-time attendees. And you could tie this into, maybe you have an award to your existing supporters, where, hey, if you actually bring a new guest who's never attended before to this event, we'll give you both free drink vouchers or something like that, to really incentivize new supporters to join in, but also make them feel special when they do. And then one of my favorite ways to get people excited and bring in those new supporters is to have a fundraising competition for those peer-to-peer teams and fundraisers. Get that friendly competition going, so that you have a reason, again, to strike up that natural conversation. Like, oh my God, how did you do it your first year and you raised $5,000? Tell me your secret. Fun things like that to really get to know how they've engaged with you already, if they're new, or what their secret was, why they're doing what they're doing for your organization, can be really beneficial. And this is a great example of providing an opportunity to socialize. So this is a SPCA, March for the Animals event, that happens every year. And you can see here after the march, they have registration, the march, remarks, all that good stuff. But afterwards, when everyone's done feeling good about the walk that they just did, they have a picnic celebration and luncheon for all of the people who participated and their pets, which is a whole lot of fun. And I'm sure the SPCA has a couple of team members and volunteers scattered about that picnic, making sure that they're sitting down with potential supporters, existing donors, walkers, asking them about their pets, if they were adopted, and then keeping that information in mind after the event. I think this is something a lot of fundraisers tend to forget, at least when I was a fundraiser. A lot of times I would meet all these awesome people at an event. I have these great conversations with them. And then as soon as I went back to my office, I completely forgot everything I had talked to them about, or could only remember really little tidbits. So it's important that in these social settings, you're also keeping in mind that you need to find a way to collect, or at least keep in the back of your mind, the really valuable tidbits of information that you have, whether it's a note on your phone maybe that you keep, so that all right, follow up with her about volunteering next month, or just adopted a brand new dog, follow up and say, hope everything's going well. Little things like that, that as they come to you are really easy to forget, are really crucial in this cultivation moment, because it's probably one of your few chances to make a fantastic first impression with some of these new supporters and building those relationships with those who are attending your events. But those new supporters aren't the only people that you should be focusing on while you are hosting this event. It is also about that existing support, those people who are already donors or board members or volunteers and giving back to your organization in some way already. And this event is where you can remind them of why they support you and why they should feel good about supporting you by giving them a little extra TLC. And there's a lot of ways in which you can steward your donors throughout the year. These examples are really specific to the actual event that you're hosting. So using the event as an opportunity to steward those relationships. And a lot of it's very similar to cultivation. The biggest difference is that with cultivation, you're having those conversations with people you don't really know as much about yet to start figuring out where that right fit might be. Whereas stewardship is focused on, making sure that your existing supporters feel valued, feel appreciated, and recognized for their support, but also still having those conversations about, all right, you've been giving, $500 every year, but we think next year you can give 1,000. Let's talk about that conversation. Let's figure out how to get, that donor there. And stewardship is a really huge way to make that happen. So at your event, you might be able to offer a special gift for every event they attended. Maybe if you have an annual event, you have a little button or pin or some kind of collectible that, all right, if you've been to every 5K for the last 10 years, you have a little pennant all over your vest, something like that, to make people feel really valued for being such a long-time supporter of your cause can be super fun. Or bring in someone who's actually been directly affected by your organization. This is probably one of my favorite ways to steward your relationships, because you're actually taking, that story of, how your mission has affected someone in your community and the people that you serve. And you're reminding those that have helped you make it happen by seeing that person in real time. And I think nothing pulls on my heartstrings more or makes me want to whip out my wallet than seeing how my direct impact has affected a human being, especially. And if I have someone at this event telling me how, this organization and the donors who support it have changed their life, yeah, no, I'm gonna feel really, really powerful, and I'm gonna feel special for being a part of that and being able to make that happen. And I'll wanna continue to support the organization to make that happen, because I know you have stayed true to your mission, you've made it happen, and I can trust you with the dollars I am donating to make all of that possible. You can also make a thank you video to remind your supporters how much they're appreciated, either before or during the event. Maybe you have a little photo booth where people are saying, thank you for all the people who made the event possible, that you can stitch together afterwards. Or maybe beforehand, you have those people who've been directly affected by the work that you do. Maybe have a little thank you, or your staff members, your board members record a quick thanks, or have a slideshow that says thanks. You really can do anything, just some additional content to remind them. Maybe play it as you're setting up or something like that, so that they can sit back, relax, and feel really good about themselves. And like we said in our cultivation piece, offering a free or discounted registration if they bring a friend, it really ties the two together so that you're able to not only encourage those new supporters, but also recognize those existing supporters for helping you expand your reach and bring more people to your event, which always makes it a lot more fun. And then lastly, recognizing your existing supporters publicly with their permission, of course. Maybe you do have a certain level of donor that does get some public recognition. This is a great opportunity to, whether it's verbally or you have a banner, something like that, let them know, or the people attending the event know who those folks are, so that, again, not only does that supporter feel really special and honored to be a part of that recognition, but also that those who are not currently supporting your organization can see, oh wow, I can have my name up on this big beautiful banner, or have a nice speech said about me during this event. That's something that I would want in the future, so maybe I'll learn more about how I can get involved. And then my biggest piece of advice for stewardship: if you know someone at your event, don't forget to say hello by name if you can. Definitely don't say the wrong name if you're unsure, but if you do know who someone is, or you're checking them in and you have that registration list right on your table, this is Janet, she comes every year, make sure to greet her as such. Hey Janet, it's great to see you again. We're so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for raising $500 with your fundraising team. Something like that just immediately makes that person feel like a person. And that's what it's all about. You don't want these donors who support you year after year to feel like a pocketbook. You want them to feel like they're actually in a relationship with you, moving your mission forward together. And here's a great example of that.
This is a wonderful example of using featured speakers and presenters at an event. And even though this is taking place before their event, whereas you might typically think of stewardship in terms of sending out thank yous after the event, for example, it still falls into that category of stewardship, just like Bridget was saying, because it's a way to really show your donors and attendees at your event what they're helping to achieve for your organization. And seeing that and feeling that feeling of contributing to this mission, and these people who have directly been impacted by what the organization is doing really is going to give them such a great rewarding feeling. They're really getting as much or more out of that as you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like if, I think in this example here where you have the opportunity to actually the opportunity to have a conversation with those people attending the event, even if it's, maybe not everyone does, but if you have someone speak, making sure they have time to, be thanked by a board member or have a conversation with some people. So not only do they get to hear about how amazing their experience has been, but you also get to have a one-on-one connection with them and get to know them. I know when I was an intern at a big opera festival, a program they had was that donors could sponsor an intern. And I actually got to meet my internship sponsor at one of the Cultivation events where they had him, oh, you're attending, come join us for a picnic this weekend. And I actually got to sit down with him, get to know what he does, why he supports the organization. And it not only was really cool for me as someone working on the fundraising side of things to get to know this person who has made such a big impact for this organization, but also for that donor to say, wow, I sponsored an intern and I actually get to meet that person, talk to them at the opera, have a meal with them, learn about why they do what they do, what their career path is, and feel like I've played a part in moving this person's career forward and helping them make a difference, which is a really, really powerful thing and a great way to make these existing supporters feel like the heroes that they are. So we touched on recognition a little bit, but just to go even further, really thinking about how is your event possible and making sure that you're letting the world know as well as those who are part of making that event possible. So if you have a physical event, this is a great spot to acknowledge that existing support, and there's a lot of different ways you can do this. This is just some of the ways in which you can recognize your support at that event. Do a quick Google search, you'll probably find hundreds and hundreds of more ideas. But just some of my favorites, if you had an event where you had, peer-to-peer fundraising, sponsors or something like that, maybe a planning committee that helps you, taking time at the event to thank them, if you have the hot mic, celebrate those people, go through the list of all of those folks. Maybe it would only take you 5 minutes to just run down that list of all those amazing people that have helped you. And if you had peer-to-peer fundraising or team fundraising, maybe you have awards for those people that really helped you ahead of the event, or a local business award for being the top sponsor, or a peer-to-peer fundraising team for raising the most. Things like that are a great way to recognize those people who really went above and beyond to make that event happen. And while after you've thanked all those people, make a toast. Say thank you. You can never say thank you too many times, seriously. It's a great way to make people feel acknowledged and recognized at the event, and to give them those warm and fuzzy feelings throughout. Ahead of the event, maybe in your registration survey or in some other email survey that you send out, you can collect personal responses from people asking why they support your organization. Or you have people who are being supported by your organization talk about why they're so grateful for the work being done. And then reading those aloud to recognize that support and how it's being translated into the work that you do can be really powerful. And then, as I mentioned, a public display, maybe you have a banner, some kind of plaque situation, if you're at like your own personal space, to let people know, these are the people, the businesses that make it possible. And always, of course, anytime you're displaying a donor's information or business information publicly, make sure you have their permission and all the assets you need from them so that it looks and feels exactly how they want it to. Because the better they feel about how they're being recognized, the more likely they're going to want to continue to grow that relationship with you in the future. And then, of course, I really can't stress it enough, making sure you're taking as much time as you possibly can to say thanks. Pretty much anyone who's attending your event is someone you should say thank you to. If they donated to your cause, say thanks. If they raise money through a peer-to-peer fundraiser, even if it's $5, $10, $20, still say thank you for doing that. Thank you for creating a peer-to-peer fundraising page and telling your story. Maybe someone just, sponsored a t-shirt. Make sure to thank them. Thank literally everybody you possibly can, because when you do this, it's going to make it a lot easier to retain those donors, those sponsors, all of those supporters, because it really is that retention that's the trickiest part, trying to retain those new donors. But when you focus on that stewardship and recognition, really, that's how you're going to continue that life cycle and reduce that churn of donors leaving after just a year or so, because they feel appreciated. They feel like you know who they are, like they're a part of the work that you do, and that they're a part of moving your mission forward. And that's what's going to give them those warm and fuzzy feelings and make them want to continue to attend more events and support you in the future. And this is a fabulous example of an organization that really incentivized a lot of different supporters of the organization. They have a donor raffle. After, if you donate over a certain amount, you automatically get entered into a raffle to thank them and give them a little incentive. As well as for the teams, the fundraisers, those running, there are different prizes depending on how much money you actually raise for the organization. So it adds a little friendly competition, some incentivization, but also rewards and recognizes those who have done the best and really brought in a lot of value to the organization. And you can, like I said, recognize these people at the event, maybe before you kick off that walk, making sure to celebrate your top fundraisers and all of that good stuff, so that it really is a fun connection at the actual event for everybody that's involved.
Your event is also a fantastic opportunity to create new content to share with your followers and your supporters. If your event goes well and people have a good time, and then they will feel good about your cause and be more likely to continue to support you in the future and come to your future events. It's important that you show off your mission and your supporters in action at that event. So that may mean creating live social media posts during the event to show what's happening in the moment, as well as compiling some to post later after that event is over. Having those visuals and pictures and videos of people volunteering, eating, watching, talking, all make for really excellent content that's going to encourage people to buy into both your mission as a whole and attending future events, when they can really see that and see what's happening at your event and what you're achieving through having that event. This is an example of some great content that was created from a GiveGab event. This organization made a highlight video of their benefit hockey game to show those memorable moments from the event. They posted their video from the previous year on the current year's event page, which is an excellent way to entice the supporters to then come to this year's game. A really great idea to do that.
I think if I'm, a donor, even if I'm just like maybe someone who is a peer-to-peer fundraiser for this campaign, a friend of mine asked me to donate, and I really don't know a ton about the organization itself. Here I can look at this video and say, oh, wow, this is what that event is all about. I was really only going to donate $5 because they asked me, but this looks like a lot of fun. Maybe I'll join them. And I think by having that content, especially for annual recurring events, can really get people excited. And also it adds a little brand recognition. If you have that same event over and over again, and maybe it's branded a certain way or you market it a certain way, people do begin to recognize those patterns, so that year after year they know to look for it, and they know when to start getting ready to sign up, get their fundraising teams together, and all of that good stuff, which is really just going to help you continue to keep that presence strong and grow over time. All right, we talked about a lot of different ways in which you can leverage some of these ideas, but probably the biggest takeaway that I would really hope that you leave here today feeling is that events are opportunities if you leverage them correctly. There's so much you can do to make your event so much more than just something where people are fundraising, to really have fun, get to know the people that you're working with. But it really is all about making sure you're putting in the work ahead of time, looking at that registration setup, getting everything you need, figuring out what you want to get out of this event so that you're maximizing those results. And considering what your return on investment is, thinking about what you're actually going to get the most out of, what you are going to really benefit from, because maybe you only need to hit a certain fundraising benchmark, but you really need to focus on new donors, getting new people to the event. That's something that you can think about. That can be a different type of return on investment than just the dollars that are being raised. And then probably most importantly, having fun and celebrating all of those people who are coming together, whether it's in person or virtually, to celebrate the work that you do, to really rally around your cause, your mission, and the people that support it, because that's really what this event is all about: celebrating those people, thanking them, and letting them know that the work is still not over. There's still work to be done, and that they can be a part of making that difference for your organization and the people that you serve.
That's right. Thinking about those 5 goals that we talked about and considering what's important to you and what you want to achieve by having that event. And if you're looking to have even more fun during your next event, you can host it on GiveGab. These are some of the great features that GiveGab offers for fundraising events that can help you achieve those 5 goals that we talked about. For example, we have a custom registration form that you can use to do that research on your prospective attendees, customizable thank you messages to help you facilitate that stewardship process, and the event functionality is available on any of our premium plans. Of course, if you have any questions, you can chat with us. Any page on the GiveGab site has the blue chat bubble. You can click on that for quick assistance. You can also email us, and we'll respond to you Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. If you write into us on the weekend, we will be sure to get back to you first thing on Monday.
Yeah, so if a question comes to you after today's presentation that you forget, which usually happens to me as I'm watching a webinar, please feel free to chat with us. Or if you're interested in learning more about our fundraising plans, how you can leverage events on GiveGab, we really are happy to help. And if you're already running an event on GiveGab, we're also here to cheer you on and see how we can help move your event forward, provide as many tips and consult you to make sure that you are as successful as possible using GiveGab. But for those of you who, and asked your questions throughout the presentation, we have a few really great questions I'm excited to get to. So our first question is from Clara, and she asked, how important would you say having an in-person event is when you are an international organization? That's a really fantastic question. And I think that really does depend on the scale. I mean, a lot of international organizations have maybe locations throughout the globe where they might have stronger supporter bases than others. It really depends. This is what I would recommend, maybe even leveraging a virtual event. I recently saw an organization do a virtual 5K, or yeah, I think it was a virtual 5K. And so what they had people do was essentially register to do this like 5K wherever they were in the world, saying, okay, I'm going to do this 5K, I'm ready, I donate $50 and I'm a part of it. And all they have to do is at some point on this day that the organization decides, or week or whatever it is, that person just has to walk or run a 5K and take a selfie. Maybe they use a hashtag that you create to collect all that information on social media or something like that, so that you can really do something that brings everyone together. You can also leverage peer-to-peer fundraising in teams without actually having to plan a physical event. It takes away a lot of that stress, but you're also creating that content, you're getting people excited, you're rallying those ambassadors. So that's just one idea that I have if you are a larger organization with a big reach, or maybe you don't just have a small community gathering, you really have to expand it. And I think it really does depend on where your networks are all over the globe. I think it can't hurt to maybe have mixers in different cities, making sure there is at least some physical aspect where people can get involved, but it does definitely vary on the work that you do. That's a great question. Another question, how do you actually boost attendance for the event, from Jacob? That's another fantastic question. So a lot of organizations struggle with actually getting those new people to attend their events, or how to get people outside of your existing email list and social media followers to know that this event is happening. I think that's one of the trickiest things we as fundraisers have to think about, especially now when there is so much going on, so much on everyone's social media pages. I'm getting so many emails a day. How do I keep track and actually know what to pay attention to? Well, to increase attendance for the event, I have a couple of recommendations. The first being, if you are a smaller local community, or even in a city, finding some local businesses to partner with is a great way to tap into that customer base. Because your social media following for your organization is going to be very different than the local bagel shop around the corner. Because they're posting very different things and have a very different audience. So by doing maybe some cross promotion with a local business or another organization, maybe if there's some chance for partnership there, you can really leverage each other's networks. So that business is saying, hey, we're a sponsor of this bowl-a-thon coming up. Come in for a drink and you'll get a $5 off coupon or something like that. Finding some way to incentivize those businesses and recognizing them at the event is a great way to get new people to know about it. And leveraging those existing connections within your organization to make that first step. Maybe you have a board member who knows somebody who knows somebody. It really is all about finding out where those connections lie within your organization and how to best tap into them to get that return on investment that you're looking for. And then I would also recommend that peer-to-peer and team fundraising. It's probably one of the absolute best ways to bring in new supporters to your organization, especially with the team fundraising component, because those are people who are probably going to be more likely to actually attend your event because they're a part of a team that's participating. Whereas peer-to-peer fundraising is great if you're looking for new donors, because, you know, if I'm fundraising for the Cancer Resource Center, I'm going to post on my Facebook saying I'm fundraising, saying I'm walking and why. So mostly my friends are going to, you know, donate to my peer-to-peer fundraiser because I asked them to and because I took the time to share my personal story. But they might not even be local. They might not be interested in the cause. They're really just there to support me and donate to the organization. So I would think about team fundraising, getting those local businesses involved, and reaching out to those who are already, you know, supporters. Your board is a great resource. Say, you know, I feel like, you know, the well is running dry. Where can we find some new different connections, relationships to start building, and not just people, but again, businesses, companies, other you know, institutions within your community that can help you move that forward. And then one more question, let's see, what are good places to find potential donors if you're starting to fundraise from scratch? Another fantastic question from Jacob. I think this is something a lot of organizations struggle with. You know, when you are just, you don't even really have an email list, you don't have a strong social media following, where do you actually get those people to get excited? And I would recommend really starting with a small, mighty few. Find those maybe like 5 to 10 people that you do currently have. It could even be your friends, your family members, your team members, your staff, and do a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign. I really, really think that it's probably one of the best ways for you to get those stories that those people are telling out to those new potential supporters. And a storytelling campaign specifically is a really, really great way to do that. So when I mean storytelling campaign, I mean taking those maybe few passionate supporters who have either seen your mission in action or really care about making sure that you are able to execute your mission. Have them really quickly write up, you know, why do you support our organization? Why are you passionate about the work that we do? We have a few sentences, and even if it's not on their peer-to-peer page, maybe they're not interested in fundraising, but at your next board meeting, you collect that information from your board or your staff members, pretty much anyone who's engaged with you in some way that would be willing to share that. Those stories are what is going to compel other people outside of your existing network to learn more about what you do, because they're going to be emotionally compelled. And with online giving especially, you really want to tap into people's emotions, because if I'm seeing something online, I'm much more likely to think quickly and irrationally about whether or not I'm going to give or attend. Because if I see that Jackie posts about, you know, how the Cancer Resource Center has affected people in her life and how I can help make a difference and why that's so important to her, I'm going to find that really valuable. And if I can see an example of, oh my gosh, wow, that they provide services for over 500 people a year, that's amazing. I'm so much more likely to want to learn how I can get involved when I can see that someone I know and trust is just as involved and that they are almost social proof of your mission in action. I think that's a really valuable place to start, even if that's only a handful of people. Really tap into those passionate supporters, get their stories out there. And if you have any success stories, if you do have the capacity to share those out of the people you have directly served, again, it's like a testimonial. It's like saying, when you donate to our organization, your money is going to where you intended to go, and it's going to make a difference. And that's what a lot of online donors want to feel almost immediately. They want to say, oh, wow, my $10 donation buys a book for a student. I feel really good about that. I feel like I'm buying a feeling almost. So you can start there. And I think online fundraising is also a good place to start, because it's pretty cost effective, and that, you know, you don't have to put a lot of time and effort into setting something up. It really is all about getting those peer-to-peer fundraisers, those people who are going to celebrate the work that you do and get people excited about it. That's going to move that forward. We also have a lot of other resources around starting, you know, fundraising from scratch on our blog at GiveGab. So feel free to head to GiveGab, poke around our blog, our support center, or chat in with us. If you have any other questions or are looking for a specific resource, we are always happy to jump in and lend a hand in any way that we can to make sure that your event is as successful as possible. It doesn't look like we have any more questions at the moment, but we are going to stick around for a few more minutes if any other ones come through, or you know, you can head out and chat with our customer success team. Like I said, is really happy to answer any questions that you have. Or you can shoot us an email at customersuccess@givegab.com. We'll also get back to you pretty quickly there. All right, doesn't look like I see any other questions at the moment, but I want to thank all of you for joining us today. We had such a pleasure talking to you about events, and hopefully you're leaving today with some really cool ideas. Get excited. And if you do have any cool event ideas coming up, please chat with us. I love hearing what you all are doing and how we can help make you more successful. And with that, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a great day.